It's Thursday, and man, I've been running my butt off. Tomorrow's the last day of the month, and the quarter. So my quarterly bonus is on the line. Yeah, I work in sales. Office equipment sales. Need a copier? Fax machine? Scanner? Printer? Binder? Desk? Trash can? Shredder? And, of course, it's gotta be Zoom and Teams compatible? I'm your guy. Back in the good old pre-COVID days, this was a pretty sweet gig. Man, I moved some serious copiers. Office massage tables, too. I was making bank. But these days, not so much. And I know what you're thinking. Dude, with the whole work from home boom, you must have cleaned up. But nah, that market, Amazon and Walmart eat my lunch every single day. Heck, I even got my own home office set up from them. Home offices don't make me money. What I need to keep the cash flowing is that old school, pre-pandemic office. You remember those? Everyone crammed into the same space, crowding around the coffee pot, gossiping at the water cooler, running through mountains of printer paper like it was free. Yeah, those were the gold mines. People talk about how COVID wrecked restaurants and theaters, but man, it really did a number on guys like me. Anyway, today's been brutal. I was out the door before sunrise, running on bad, cheap coffee. My iPhone's been going non-stop. Calls, texts, Twitter, TikTok, Facebook, Maps, Google Earth, all Bluetoothed into my car. By the time 1 o'clock rolls around, I've just completely bombed my last sales call. It's crunch time, and I'm feeling the pressure. And I'm also running on fumes. I need food. Bad. My hands are shaky, my stomach's queasy. I can feel my blood sugar crashing. And let me tell you, gallons of terrible gas station coffee aren't exactly helping. Then, up ahead, salvation. McDonald's. Praise baby Jesus. I whip into the drive-thru like my life depends on it. It's not quite pre-COVID fast, but hey, the line's moving. Must be at least 3 people working today. I place my order and score. No Coke? That's fine. I can roll with a root beer. As the line inched forward toward the pay window, my mouth started watering. They actually had fries. Cha-ching. When I finally got my turn, I grabbed the bag and my drink and hit the gas. All in all, pretty quick. Might even make my next appointment on time. And, most importantly, they had fries. These days, you gotta celebrate the little wins. Pulling out of the McDonald's lot, I cut across 2 lanes of traffic, hit the intersection, and took a rolling right at the red light. Stomped the gas. Headed west. I was cruising in the right lane of Sandy Boulevard, one of the main roads into and out of downtown. Traffic was heavy but moving at a decent clip. I wedged my root beer between my legs, reached into the bag, and grabbed a handful of fries. Then, balancing my Big Mac on my knee, I tore the wrapper open and took a massive bite. I was halfway through my second Big Mac, chowing down like a man who hadn't seen food in a week, when I spotted something up ahead, a car that looked a hell of a lot like my wife's. Hard to miss, really. Fire engine red Lexus. There aren't too many of those rolling around town. As I got closer, I watched that fire engine red Lexus pull off the street and into a motel parking lot. My stomach dropped. And then, as I rolled past, I saw her step out. And that's when I saw him. She leaned in and planted a kiss on some guy. Not just a peck. No, this was a full-on melt-into-each-other kind of kiss. My brain short-circuited. Next thing I knew, I was yanking the wheel, cutting across traffic, making a wild U-turn. Tires screeched. Root beer spilled. Fries flew everywhere. Horns blared. Did I care? No. I kept my foot on the gas, my car fishtailing as I sped back toward the motel. But I was too late. By the time I pulled up, all I could do was watch as they disappeared inside, tangled together, vanishing behind that cheap, ugly motel door. Oh, hell no. You did not just do that. I was shaking, hands gripping the wheel so hard my knuckles went white. Son of a... I slammed my fist against the steering wheel as I pulled into the motel lot. I screeched into the parking lot, slamming the brakes right behind her car, blocking her in. Jumping out, I froze. What the hell was I gonna do? My brain just shut down. Total vapor lock. I stood there, hands shaking, heart pounding. I was furious. You would be too. The sheer audacity, the disrespect, the way she did it so boldly, like I didn't even exist. I felt sick, gutted, betrayed. And the anger? It wasn't just anger anymore. It was turning into something hotter, something dangerous. How dare she? God, this hurt. I slumped onto the still warm hood of her car, staring at that damn door, the one they just disappeared behind. I wasn't doing too well. My stomach twisted, and I leaned to the side, spitting out the half-chewed remains of my Big Mac and fries. My appetite was officially dead. There was no doubt about what I saw. That kiss wasn't some innocent little peck. I knew her body language, the way she moved, the way she played. I'd seen it 1,000 times before, only it was never with him. I needed to think. I needed a plan. But my brain wasn't working. I kept telling myself I had to do something. Anything. But what? I had no idea. And now, here I was, still sitting on the hood of her car, still staring at that door. I glanced around, taking in the place for the first time. The motel was a single story, painted a dull off-white. A row of parking spaces, a row of doors. A little further down, what looked like the front office. Through the window, I could see a guy on the phone, waving his arm as he talked. And then my eyes went right back to that door. Room 109. It was just a door. And yet, it felt like it was taunting me, calling me in, daring me. To its right, room 108. To its left, room 110. I wondered, who was in those rooms? Were they cheating on their spouses too? Did I know them? Next to the door of 109, a picture window with the curtains drawn tight. The door itself looked just like every other door at this rundown motel, painted the same slightly dingy off-white as the walls. Brass numbers next to the frame. All the doors, all the windows, trimmed in the same dark color, not quite black, more like a weathered, faded charcoal. It was just a door, but on the other side of it, my whole world was falling apart. That dull, weathered gray, it kind of matched my mood, but not all the doors were the same. Her door was different, because she was behind it. Room 109. Did I want to kill her? Yes, no, yes, but no. God, I actually did, but I couldn't. She's the mother of my 2 kids, after all. Oh hell, are they even mine? A sharp pain stabbed through my chest. My left arm ached. My whole body felt like it was shutting down. That bastard. Sitting still was unbearable, so I leaned back, stretching out on the hood of her car, staring up at the sky. It was a perfect blue, the sun glowing warm and golden, a few fluffy white clouds drifting by. How could such a miserable day be so damn beautiful? Somewhere high above, I spotted a hawk circling, soaring effortlessly, just hunting, doing what it was meant to do. I watched, almost hypnotized, but as it came lower, I realized that wasn't a hawk. Squinting against the sunlight, I focused harder. It glided in slow, graceful arcs, getting closer. A buzzard, hunting for roadkill. Something about that felt right. Weirdly comforting. A buzzard in that beautiful sky made more sense than a hawk, because I felt like roadkill. Then my iPhone buzzed. FaceTime. My daughter. She was at her future in-laws' place, working on wedding plans. The wife and I were supposed to head over for dinner tonight. Start working on the seating chart. I answered. Dad. Hi. Hey, sweetheart, I mumbled. We were just talking about the father-daughter dance. She stopped mid-sentence, her expression shifting. Dad, are you okay? Her voice sharpened. She could see it on my face. She knew. Dad, you're scaring me. Do I need to call 911? Where are you? In the background, I heard her fiancé. Jason, honey, something's wrong with your dad. His face appeared in the frame, concern written all over it. Dad, what's going on? Panic crept into my daughter's voice. Daddy, she screamed, her face twisting with fear. I tried to hold it together. I tried to be strong, but I couldn't. My throat closed up. I was breaking. I'm sorry, I finally choked out. And then the tears came. Sobbing. Right there, over FaceTime, in front of my daughter. So much for being the strong father figure. Humiliating. I turned the phone away. I held out my phone, its camera aimed straight at the door of room 109. Sliding off the hood of her car, I felt my momentum pull me forward. One step, then another. I leaned into it, pushing myself toward the door. One more big step, and I kicked it. The door exploded inward, splinters flying, bits of the frame snapping off into the darkness of the room. I stormed in. 2 steps. Then I stopped. My phone was still raised, its camera locked on the bed. A king-sized bed, and them right in the middle of it, completely exposed, bathed in the light pouring in from behind me. The dingy motel room looked even worse in the daylight, but I wasn't paying attention to that. Eleanor was on top, riding him like she was in a goddamn rodeo. Her bare chest bounced wildly, her body slamming down over and over. I saw the moment she registered the door exploding open. She turned her head, drawn by the sudden burst of sunlight, her hair flipping as she looked back over her shoulder. And that's when I watched it happen. Her face, twisting through a cycle of emotions. Lust, then recognition, then lust again, then shock, then back to lust, and then, finally, fear. And that bastard underneath her? He was still going, looking right at me as he was about to finish. You have got to be kidding me. I could feel the rage surging up inside me, hot and wild, and I started rethinking my whole not killing her stance. Through my phone, I could hear my daughter screaming, "Mother, what the hell is happening?" I just stood there, my hand shaking, but still holding the phone steady. Tears blurred my vision, thick, burning. Then it hit me. A wave of nausea, sharp and sudden. I bent forward and hurled. Hard. Projectile vomit splattered onto the floor, right beside the bed. More screaming, this time coming from my phone. They were seeing everything, too. My wife, finishing. Right there in front of all of us. Her whole body tensed, her head tilting back, her mouth parting with a sharp, breathless cry. Then, finally, her eyes rolled forward, back down. Her chest heaved. Her mind, still clouded with whatever was left of her pleasure, started clearing. And then, we all got to watch her climb off him, and step right into my still warm puke. She looked down. She looked down. Then back up. Her eyes were drawn to the sounds, chaos pouring from my phone. And then, finally, her gaze locked onto the screen. I saw the exact moment Eleanor really registered what she was looking at. Her blue eyes went wide. Her face turned ghostly pale. Time seemed to freeze. For the first time since this call started, everything went silent. No one on the other end of the phone said a word. It was like the entire world held its breath. And then, Eleanor's mouth stretched open, and she let out a scream. A blood-curdling, soul-piercing, horror movie-level scream. And then she ran, straight into the bathroom. The door slammed behind her, leaving me alone in this cheap, disgusting motel room. Alone. With him. I stepped forward, careful not to plant my foot in my own puke, and shoved my iPhone right into his stupid, guilty face. "Who the hell do you think you are?" I roared, spit flying as rage twisted my face. "Why don't you tell the tramp's daughter who the hell you are?" I wanted to kill him. Not even joking. I wouldn't have minded ruining him, leaving him permanently messed up. Let the bastard suffer. His lips moved, but no words came out. He reeked of sex and sweat and straight-up fear. And I guess that made sense. An enraged husband, 6 feet tall, 210 pounds of pure fury, standing over you, shoving an iPhone in your face while people on the other end are screaming in outrage? Yeah, that'll get your attention. You better run, I hissed, my voice dropping into something cold and dangerous. I was this close to kicking his sorry ass into next year. Then I slapped him. And then I slapped him again. Then again, harder. And just for good measure, one more. This is some bullshit. I shouted, my entire body shaking with fury. Grabbing his ear, I yanked him off the bed, dragged his naked ass straight down onto his knees, right into my still warm puke, and then he moved. Fast, keep up. Still gripping his ear in a death hold, I yanked him out of the ruined doorway of room 109 and dragged his sorry ass onto the walkway. Then I let go, stepped back, and said, "Yippee-ki-yay, motherf." And I kicked him, hard, gave it everything I had. My pointy black wingtip connected with his bare ass. No warning, no lube. He did not enjoy it. The bastard crumpled to the ground, both hands clutching his backside, blood seeping between his fingers. And then, he started crying. Like a damn baby. Ain't that just too damn bad? I turned away from him, back into the room, and headed straight for the bathroom door. The one she was hiding behind. Please, please don't break the door. Her voice was frantic, muffled behind the cheap wood. I kept walking. Please, don't break down another door. She was panicking now. Then, another voice. Hey, look, I have the key. I froze, turned. The guy from the front office was standing there, holding up a key. His clip-on name tag said Ned. I had seen him earlier, waving his arms around through the office window. In my other hand, I was still holding out my iPhone. And Ned, he could see it all. The chaos unfolding on my screen. The sobbing, the yelling, the furious cursing. Somebody was laughing, high, strained, hysterical, and he could hear it too. It hit him like a truck. I watched him flinch. I reached out, grabbed the key, and turned back toward the bathroom, still holding my phone out in front of me. That's when the cops rushed in and tackled me, slammed me right onto their fluids. I had been so focused on that damn bathroom door, I never even saw them coming. A ton of them. They piled on, crushing me against the filthy motel bed. Stop resisting. Stop resisting. Stop resisting. I could barely breathe under all that weight, but my hand still gripped my phone, still held it tight. I twisted my wrist just enough to see the screen, to see my daughter's face, her terrified, tear-streaked face. I mouthed the words, "I love you. I hope you're really mine." But I never heard her respond, because everything went gray. And then, nothing. I've been cooling my heels in this locked room for, honestly, I have no idea. Feels like hours. Maybe longer. I'm a hell of a lot calmer than I was this afternoon. But man, I still feel completely wrecked. All I've got for company are my own thoughts. And they suck. The room itself? Nothing to write home about. A half wall of one-way mirror in front of me. Everything else? 50 shades of blah. The walls? Off gray. The table? A slightly darker gray. The chair I'm sitting in? Light gray metal. No arms. No comfort. I fidget, shifting around, but there's no way to sit in this thing without feeling miserable. Pretty sure I'm not gonna hit my sales targets this quarter. Pretty sure I'm never getting my bonus. And, honestly, I never even got to finish my damn fries. I let out a long sigh, sinking into my own self-pity. Then, the scuffed-up, grimy doorknob twisted. The door swung open fast. 2 cops walked in, pulled out a couple of equally depressing gray chairs, and sat down across from me. The taller, uglier one started talking first. "Okay, Bob, first things first. We've got a few issues here. Let's knock out the easy ones." He flipped open his notepad, scanning his notes. The motel guy, Ned, says he won't press charges if you pay for the damages in the next 24 hours. I nodded. "Your car's in impound," he continued. "I'd highly suggest getting it out ASAP. They bill by the hour." Awesome. Just what I needed. He glanced back down at his notes, then looked up, locking eyes with me. "Now," he said, his tone shifting, "let's talk about the assault and battery charges against, let's see." He flipped a page. "Mr. Harold Rancid." I blinked. Rancid. He ignored me. Instead, He looked me over, squinting slightly. Hey, did you play soccer? The question caught me completely off guard. No. Well, he said, smirking. Maybe you should have. You might have a future in it. Because your shoe was literally lodged inside Mr. Rancid's backside. He closed his notepad with a snap. They're still in surgery. I just stared. Surgery? Yeah, he nodded. To extract your damn shoe. They had to reconstruct it, reattach it. Honestly, looks like he might need a whole new ass. The taller, uglier cop was dying. Ripped Rancid's rear wide open, he wheezed, wiping away tears of laughter. And let me tell ya, it was a rancid rip. He could barely get the words out, laughing so hard he had to stop for air. The docs are still working on him, trying to extract your damn shoe and rebuild what's left of his ass. Right now, it's touch and go. If his rear doesn't make it, Bob, you might be looking at rear murder charges. At that, he completely lost it. He was doubled over, cackling, his shoulders shaking. The younger, prettier cop? She wasn't much better. She was full on slapping the gray table, laughing so hard she had to gasp for breath. I just sat there, waiting. Eventually, they pulled themselves together, wiping their tear-filled eyes. The pretty cop shook her head, still grinning. Look, Bob, she said, catching her breath. Just pay for the motel door. It's gonna be about $375. You're actually the third husband to break down a door there this week. I blinked. 3. She nodded. As for Mr. Rancid, she paused, fighting another laugh. Let's just say, you're not the first husband to kick his ass. But, she broke again, chuckling as she smacked the desk. You are the first to literally kick his ass in. That set her off again, and the ugly cop had to wipe his eyes one more time. Finally, he sighed, straightening up. All right, listen up. You don't have a record, so we're releasing you on your own recognizance. I exhaled. We get it, he continued. You were under unique stress, and you kinda snapped. I nodded, because yeah, that was putting it mildly. He leaned forward. Your daughter has agreed to check in on you. But listen, Bob, we don't want to do any more damn paperwork, so keep your nose clean. Stay out of trouble, because next time, he locked eyes with me. You won't be walking out. Are we clear? I nodded. Seemed like the right thing to do. Good. He leaned back. On your way out, they'll set up your hearing date. Get a lawyer. And don't miss that court date. About an hour later, I walked out of the police station with a court date in hand. And the pretty cop's card. Detective Sandy Heat. She'd written her cell number on the back. And waiting for me outside? The entire wedding party. Well, except for one person. My wife wasn't there. The wedding party drove me to the impound lot to get my car. Nobody spoke the entire way. And honestly, what was there to say? So, nice weather we're having? They waited while I paid the ridiculous fee and got my car out. Then, they followed me home. Meanwhile, back at the motel, the cops finally let Eleanor go after about an hour. She looked rattled, shaken to her core, but physically, she was fine. No medical attention needed. And let's be real, cheating on your husband might be scummy, but it's not illegal. So, no jail time for her either. It would have been faster, but it took the cops 35 minutes just to talk her out of the bathroom. And they had to tow her car. Apparently, when I kicked in that door, I scared the ever-living hell out of her. She was convinced I was going to kill her. Or worse, make her life a living nightmare and then kill her. She'd never seen that kind of rage in anyone before, ever. And in that panicked, terrified state of mind, Eleanor left the motel and drove straight to the bank. She emptied everything, drained the accounts, maxed out every withdrawal limit on every card. Then, she went home. No hesitation, no second guessing. Just pure, single-minded determination to grab as much as she could fit into her car. She tore through the house, loading up the best of the best. Jewelry, designer clothes, anything valuable that could be stuffed into a suitcase. By the time she was done, her passenger seat was stacked high, her most expensive shoes balanced right on top. As she backed out of the driveway, the sun was setting, and that's when she saw it. Her daughter's car, turning onto the street. Panic flared in her eyes. She floored it, pulling out fast, heading in the opposite direction. Moments later, Bob and the wedding party arrived, completely unaware she had just driven off. Bob stepped inside first, and if he hadn't been shell-shocked before, what he saw next shattered him. The house, ransacked, furniture tossed, drawers yanked open, empty jewelry boxes thrown onto the floor. His wife hadn't just left. She'd cleaned him out. They called the police. Because, well, this looked like a break-in. A robbery. But Bob was just lost. Nothing made sense anymore. Who was Eleanor? Where was Eleanor? Why, Eleanor? Why? I don't have answers. The kids are just as baffled as I am. My future in-laws stand awkwardly, not knowing what to say. No one knows if they should stay or go. And honestly, I have no answers for them. At some point, they must have made the decision to leave. Because now, I'm alone. The hours drip by, slow and relentless. I can feel myself unraveling. My mind couldn't walk a straight line if it tried. My emotions shut off a long time ago. I haven't eaten in I don't even know how long. Not that I'm hungry. Everywhere I look, it hurts. The things she took, the empty spaces they left behind, they sting. But the things she left behind, they cut deeper. They whisper that she never really cared, that the things I thought mattered to her never actually did. The house is so quiet, an eerie, hollow kind of quiet. It seeps into everything, stretching across every room. The absence of life, of my life, echoes back at me over and over again. I take the last sip of the last bottle of whiskey. Then I toss it aside. I drag myself upstairs, crawling by the time I reach the top. Dry heaving. Still, I keep going. I collapse into bed, our bed. The hall clock chimes twice. Some ungodly hour. The pitch-black night is everywhere, suffocating. I can't see a thing, but I can hear. Tick, tock, tick, tock. The clock's slow, deliberate rhythm presses into me. I feel the darkness slithering in, curling around my chest, squeezing tight. I pull the covers over my head. God, will this night ever end? My mind won't stop tormenting me. What did I do? Why? Oh God, why? I remember how she used to look at me when we were new. Back when I was enough. Warm, salty tears slip from my eyes, soaking into the sheets. The night drags on, painfully slow. And as I lay here, drowning in regret, I realize something. There are lessons in life no one wants to learn, and knowledge no one wants to have. Shame, failure, the gut-wrenching fear of realizing who you really are. I grasp at straws, imagining, hoping, praying for dawn. But it's too far away to even think about. For now, there's only this long, dark night, and I just have to endure. But when the sun finally rises, all Bob can do is what he's been doing. Endure whatever tomorrow throws at him. Meanwhile, far across the state, speeding east like a bat out of hell, Eleanor gripped the steering wheel so tight her knuckles turned white. The sudden thud-thud-thud of the rumble strip snapped her back to reality. She swerved, jerking the car back into her lane. She had been driving like a lunatic ever since she left the house. Mile after mile, the road blurred past her, unnoticed. Her mind was stuck, locked in a vicious, never-ending loop. The best, hottest sex of her life. The look on her husband's face. Her own voice, screaming in pleasure. Her daughter's horrified shriek. Her lover's body beneath her. The faces, her future in-laws, frozen in shock. The sleazy motel room. The door, exploding open. That damn iPhone screen. That amazing manhood. Guilt. Shame. Lust. all tangled together, swirling in a storm she couldn't escape. It was going to take years of therapy to untangle the mess inside her head. And even then, who knew? She had no idea where she was going. No plan. No destination. She was just running, mindlessly, lost in the chaos of her own thoughts. Then, thud, 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 the rumble strip jolted her again. She yanked the wheel, pulling back onto the road, and kept driving. But her mind, it dove right back in. The embarrassment, God, the shame. It felt like it might kill her. No one was ever supposed to know. And yet, her daughter's face, her screaming, "Mother!" The sound replayed in her head, looping endlessly, clawing at her sanity. Then, thud, 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 the rumble strip again. And at that exact moment, a deer leapt into the road, straight into her path. Thump. The impact was sudden, violent. Metal crunched, glass shattered, and just like that, Eleanor's running came to an end. 6 months later, it's Sunday, half a year since that Thursday. 6 months since my world exploded, just like the door to room 109. Last week, the divorce was finalized. The divorce went through fast. Eleanor never fought me on a thing. She gave me full custody of the house, what was left of our bank accounts, and the shredded remains of our life together. Her lawyer showed up. She didn't. The broken pieces of my life slowly started shifting, rearranging themselves into something almost resembling normal. My daughter got married. Small ceremony. Just family. Her brother walked her down the aisle. I sat in the front row. Tried to smile. Failed. But I was there. That counts for something. Detective Sandy Heat called me a couple of times. First for coffee. Then dinner. Then breakfast. She's a good person. Listens more than she talks. Says I'm doing better than most guys would. I don't know about that. Harold Rancid? He recovered. Got himself a brand new ass. More or less. His lawyer sent me a settlement offer. I paid it. My daughter told me it was worth every penny. She hasn't forgiven her mother. Says she never will. I tell her forgiveness isn't for Eleanor. It's for herself. She's not ready to hear that yet. The wedding party video? Yeah. That FaceTime call? Somebody recorded it. It went viral. 30 million views last time I checked. Cheating wife caught live on FaceTime. That's what they called it. My face? Blurred. Hers? Not. The internet is ruthless like that. I still sell office equipment. Barely made my numbers last quarter. My boss cut me some slack after the video made the rounds. Said I was a legend. I don't feel like a legend. I feel like a guy who still flinches every time he sees a fire engine red Lexus. Eleanor's car? They found it in a ditch. 2 states over. Totaled. A deer went straight through the windshield. She survived. Barely. Weeks in the hospital. Then rehab. Then some facility in Arizona. Her sister calls me sometimes with updates. I listen. Say nothing. Hang up. That motel is still there. Same off-white paint. Same dark trim. Same row of doors. Sometimes I drive past it. I don't want to, but I do. And every time, I find my eyes locked on that door. Room 109. That door. It's new. Doesn't match the others. Stands out like a neon sign, screaming about what happened there. I haven't slept through the night since. Every night, without fail. 2 a.m. Like clockwork. I wake up. Lie there. Listen to the hall clock chime. And wonder if the darkness will ever stop creeping in. Detective Sandy Heat says it will. Says one day, I'll wake up, and the first thing on my mind won't be Eleanor in room 109. Says maybe I'll think about coffee, or work, or maybe even her. Says healing isn't linear, that it's messy, moves forward, backward, sideways. Says I'm doing the work, one day at a time. I don't know about that, but I do know this. McDonald's fries taste like fries again. Small victory. And that hawk I saw? Turns out it wasn't a buzzard after all. Just a hawk. Circling. Hunting. Looking for its next meal. And me? I'm just looking for tomorrow. And the tomorrow after that. It's Sunday. And I'm still here. And that's the end of this story. Was it what you expected? Or did it take a turn you didn't see coming? I'd love to hear your thoughts. Drop a comment below, and let's get a conversation going. If this story kept you hooked, hit that like button. And if you're new here, or just haven't subscribed yet, now's the perfect time to join our community. I bring you fresh, captivating stories every day, so hit subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss out. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.